tonight with a renowned leadership consultant, author, and the founder of the Guardians of the Nation International to interrogate the urgent questions of leadership in Nigeria. Why the nation continues to grapple with deficits in governance, how the character and vision of leaders shape development outcomes, and what it will take to nurture a new generation of transformational leaders. Linus Okorie is live for us, President of GOTME. Thanks so much indeed for joining us tonight.
I'm actually glad to be here today.
It's a pleasure. In your unique, iconic red tie. Give us an understanding. And you know that each time I get to speak to you, to plead with you to come on this program, is about leadership, development, building a new generation of Nigerian leaders, awakening the minds of those who are young at heart and those who are young indeed. There is a gap, a generational gap. It does look to me that the young people of this country, the Gen Zs, I'm very worried about the orientation. It doesn't look like it looks like they're not interested about the development of the future of this country. They're not interested about the history of this country. They're not even interested about the present in this country. They're interested in what they are interested in. And that's a major problem. What do you think is missing? Is it bad governance? Is it a leadership problem? Or is it just a fundamental issue with that generation?
So it will interest you to know that a couple of years ago, I had a chance of meeting the first professor of leadership in the world, Professor John Adair, who has written over 80 books on the subject matter. And at that point in time, you know, he was actually visiting Nigeria on my invitation. And one of the first things he said, Linus, do you know that the greatest need for Nigeria and the continent of Africa is to groom leaders, good leaders, and leaders for good. There's deficit of leadership capital, and the need to groom good leaders and leaders for good. So what it means is that in a nation like this, there must be investment in leadership capital. First of all, there has to be an understanding of what this leadership is about. When you talk about leadership, sometimes people just mention political leadership as if that is just
a type of leadership.
It's just one element of leadership. When we talk about leadership, we will have to bring it to Dr. Miles Monroe's introduction and definition of leadership. He said, leadership is the ability to influence, motivate, guide a group of people towards a particular direction via inspiration, not intimidation or manipulation. Which means a leader is somebody who has the capacity to inspire, to drive a group of people. It could be business, it could be politics, it could be family, it could be a non-profit, it could be a university system, it could be everywhere. So what we're seeing today is the fact that because there is very little investment in leadership development, so you see that from the four walls of our universities to the four walls of our businesses to the different systems that we have, you could see a cry for transformational leadership to actually emerge. So because of the deficit of transformational leadership capital in our system, it has produced such a culture that is self-seeking, a culture that does not serve public, a culture that does not delay gratification, a culture that does not build for the future, a culture that does not generate sustainability. What it means is that you have a culture that is interested in self-promotion, self-aggrandizement, and all of that because of so deficit of this leadership capital has produced lack of patriotism, lack of all of these things. So it's all over the system. So we need a critical mass of people to begin to understand the true meaning of leadership.
Okay, so let me ask you a quick question. How do I identify a good leader when I see one?
So the moment you see a good leader, first thing you see is that the leader is visionary. The leader is visionary. The leader is working with themes teams. I mean, he transfers the vision to his team, and he's interested in the common good, which means the leader is not interested in self. Self-interest dies when leadership shows up. So what leadership is about is the moment you see a leader, you see selflessness. You see commitment for public good, for the common good. You remember Simon Sinek wrote a book and titled it Leaders Eat Last. Leaders eat last, which means the leader operates like the principle of the motherhood. The mother, first of all, feeds the children, right? That's what leadership is all about.
In Nigeria, the leaders drive the finest,
absolutely,
wears the finest,
absolutely,
leave the finest, and the poorest of the poor leave the poorest.
Absolutely, because if the purpose of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. Majority of the people who are in public space, in business space, are thinking the Machiavellian principle of self-preservation first. And no nation of the world can make progress until there is an investment in human capital in such a way that you produce human beings who care for others, you produce human beings who are visionary, who have courage to speak truth to power. You have, human beings who are committed to very sound mind leadership. You know what I'm talking about? Leaders who are committed to mind leadership, whose thought, whose worldview is about how do we make things happen? How do we build? How do we transform? How do we add value? How do we make things better for other people? That's what we're talking about here.
Let me quickly, we're due for another break. But my biggest fear about this country, yes, is now. But the biggest one of my fear is now, what is happening, the kind of leadership and the governance in our nation of now. But the biggest of my fear is about the future.
Absolutely.
The generation, my own generation, the generation behind me, and that of my children. There is a disaster that is looming. And you look at the figures. Nigeria has over 70% of its population under the age of 35. How can leadership renewal genuinely include this demography beyond tokenism or token appointments and rhetoric?
Absolutely. So what I normally say is that young people are our greatest assets. So if you see our young people as assets, whether it's businesses or public sector, if they see young people as assets, what do? You invest in assets, which means these young people must develop the right skills, 7-star skills, create institutions for these young people to, first of all, grow their passions and their giftings and their talent. So leadership starts from there, where young people are equipping them with 7-star, not 1-star skills acquisition. 7-star institutions. Go to Germany, go to Singapore, and find the type of institutions that are producing quality 7-star skills. We can export them, then groom them for enterprise, groom them for leadership, groom them for attitude, and groom them for the business of it.
Right. I'll pause you for a moment, but I'm worried because there is something I'd like you to talk on, which is destroying you today. Flash them a little naira, and you will buy them over. But that question is going to be after this break. We need to take a break, everyone. We'll be right back. Our closing moment with leadership consultant president of Okorie. Okorie, a lot of people who might not know what that means, is the Guardians of the Nation International. There are a lot of leadership trainings and help and support they've given to institutions and nations. So that's what Linus Okorie and his team do. That's when we invite him, we'll talk about leadership on the program. Let's get back to the conversation with Mr. Linus Okorie. And here is what worries me, and the question I'd like to ask you. In an environment where politics is heavily monetized, how do you see ethical leadership competing with the realities of patronage and vote buying?
So the other day, I had an opportunity of delivering a paper at NIPS. And the key issue was leadership, mentorship, succession planning, right? And while I was having the conversation, I said, it is the responsibility of quality leaders to transfer and mentor and create a system of flow where there will be sustainability of sound leadership capital. But in a system like ours, where it's very difficult to find outstanding leaders who can make that happen, my thinking basically is that we must find those who have succeeded in business, those who have succeeded in different sectors of the economy, to take it as a priority to invest in the type of programs that Gotney runs. What that means is that, you know, in our local communities, it's important that we take this leadership development awareness to them, because when young people find themselves, there are a lot of young people in this country today who have found themselves and they have refused to collect the money from politicians. They have refused to do all of that. So you need to increase investment in quality knowledge, because when people understand what is at stake, the consequences of when they accept stomach infrastructure above the awareness of their great country.
Some people say still collect the stomach infrastructure, but still do what is right.
Whatever the case may be, but I'm telling you that there are a lot of young people in this country, even older people in this country, who are in generations ahead of us, who have literally said they would not be part of that. So what we're saying is that the more leaders we groom in our country, if we have a critical mass of young people who think differently, we have a critical mass of Nigerians who think differently.
When you do a lot of
these
trainings, you do a lot of these trainings every time. Are we seeing results?
Of course, if not the type of work people like us are doing, right, then this country would have been worse. Do you understand what I'm talking about? So what we're saying is that we are intervening the best way that we can, but what we're saying is that that's why the National Leadership Conference that we're putting together at the Transcorp Hilton at this point in time, yes.
When is that?
On the 5th and 6th of September.
Oh, it's just 3 days away.
Yes, next weekend, Friday and Saturday. I mean, business leaders who run businesses, corporations.
Does it come at a cost?
Absolutely. What we're saying is that those who want to grow their businesses to a sustainable level will take their top management and invite them.
Why did you hint to me when I told you when I invited you to this program? You never said that you were having a training coming. But I think this is important. So is it only those who want to lead in business that can attend?
Those politicians who want to make a difference. Any politician that wants to make a difference, the theme of the conference is mindset transformation, inspiring for results. It is an optimization center, a refinery, where people come in, and by the time they leave the refinery, the hunger to be more, the hunger to transform, the hunger to build will rest upon them.
So if you are not in Abuja,
anywhere you are in the world, you can connect, you can be part of the conference. There's a virtual participation, just 100,000, you can participate virtually anywhere you are in the world. There's a physical participation for 500,000 for the 2 days in Transcorp and all of that, and then there's a 1 million for the VIP. So it's all rated in such a way that everybody will have a chance. Even there's a 200,000 naira ticket for those who can maintain that class. And we have leaders coming from all over the world, you know, coming into Nigeria to interact. It's a learning system of some sort.
What I'm concerned about, because this kind of opportunity, when you're talking about this kind of thing, you pay millions to be able to talk about it on this program. But I am interested in grooming and baking the new set of leaders in this country. And I'm imagining that anyone who participate, who think institution will send people to go and attend this kind of thing, are preparing our people. But in the real sense of it, if you are equipping, and this on the note, I would like us to close the program quickly. There is a big problem of underemployment.
Yes.
It is not a problem of the fact that there are jobs, but there's a problem in getting the right people. There are graduates who are not fit for roles, even when those roles are. There is a major problem of capacity.
And that is why we have signed an MOU with NYSC that all over Nigeria, Gotney Leadership Center will train those young people at no cost to them to build their competencies and capacities so that when they get into the marketplace, they'll bring value and they will get necessary jobs. We have also produced 25-year running Emerging Leaders Conference, even in November, 1,000 young people at no cost to them from all over the country. So we are doing those investments, and the business side of what we do is what funds the other non-profit side of what we do. Do you understand what I'm talking about?
Absolutely.
So that's why anybody who wants to participate in this conference, just go to our website, literally, you know, which is even on the screen, www.nlc.africa.
All right. Thank you, Linus.
And then you can participate.
Thank you so much for delivering to us those nuggets that will make our nation better and for us to get the kind of leaders we want. Thanks. It's good to see you again.
Nice to see you.
My good
Thank
friend.
you.
Thank you so much.